when you're using the foot, I typically have you start using big, broad arch. Remember how when we started, it was palm press and then finger press? You go from broad to more specific. With the foot, the same thing happens. If I called it foot press and then heel press, same concept, just a different structure. When you're using your feet, you can still, if you want to, you can still use the ball pad of the foot. I don't find it to be quite as secure, and I have to use my lower leg more, tightening my calves to do that. I like big and broad. I like the side of my foot, that's sharper, right? And I like heel. But as you work, you're going to notice that for you, it's going to, work a certain way as far as your foot kneading through here, what tools you use. So after I have had her leg lateral, I'm working that back leg line. We'll cover that more in prone. I am going to bring her up. And remember this, into your holster. Now I let her leg roll open. I can see her a little bit with my thigh along the shin here, but I'm just trying to see what her range of motion is through the hip. Once she starts to lift, I'm going to isolate. And then remember, you step out, take them out of your holster. Circles. And I start with the shoulder on the same side and roll over to opposite shoulder that way. A lot of people will go the opposite direction. It doesn't work quite as well in the flow. It works better to go this way. You need an opposite shoulder with the shot put. But you can see after a while it becomes pretty fluid. You don't really think about it much. It's just little pieces. This is really two movements. You've got piriformis and gluteals, and then you've got the shot put, which is the hamstring stretch. Then I'm going to allow her roll over. I could leave her just like this, but I think that's kind of awkward. If I'm trying to isolate, I'm going to take this leg and reach under. And you see how I'm able to prevent her leg from sliding down? This opens up the gluteals as I roll her nearly completely onto her side, because I'm able to compress into the gluteals. The greater trochanter is over here, so I can press on either side.
Maybe press a little less.
Oh, she's too much.
You have try to keep her left leg straight, so the length of the spine or whatever is comfortable.
Yeah. For the most part, this is where we're working. The rest of it is just so she's comfortable. For some people also, because of their spine twist, she's going to choose. When you play with clients, eventually they'll learn, like, oh, okay, they're doing that, but I can use that resistance over here, move my arm around. If I want to add to it, sometimes I will come out. I think I did something like this yesterday. And I came in along the arm there. Too much? But once you get going, you'll see lots of options. Do you guys want to repeat just that little piece, a little more fluid?
Yeah.
We covered it in segments. What will typically happen when you start out is when the person is in tree pose, we'll go from tree pose to kickstand all the way up and through. Then you'll unwind that leg, do the same to the other side.
Is that how
If for some reason I don't feel like I'm getting enough pressure, and this is one of those things where it's challenging for me to present it in a way that always makes sense, because sometimes it'll depend on the person's body dimensions, the length of their femur. If I decided I need more oomph, I kind of feel like I'm at this angle. My first notion, I was like, it feels a little off of my leg. I'm going to take my body out just a little. And when I do this, you see how it lengthens this a bit more? Because I lifted her hip. That's probably going to give her a little more pressure.
Okay.
But it doesn't make me work harder. It's just like taking the bicep and lengthening it and then applying pressure. Be a little more tense. So after you learn to do like effective work for the client, feel free to adjust your body position any way it feels good. If you get to a point where you want to lean back, do it. So if I'm here and I realize I don't want to apply any more pressure, but I'm slouched, then I can put a hand back and go, oh, there, how's that? Oh, good. It was Also on my pecs. Also on my shoulder. I want you to, if your receiver is comfortable, I want you to keep him in this position. This is what we were building to. The reason I wanted to go back and do some of the leg, other than a review, is I wanted to warm them up a little bit, have a little bit of movement, okay? So I've got her spine is here. I'm gonna bring her thigh to about 90 degrees to her spine. Her hips are rolled, she's facing that way. I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna isolate with this leg. If I had someone who doesn't want as deep a twist, I can step out, because when I lift her, it allows her hips to roll along, so the twist isn't quite as deep. I think for her this is gonna work fine.
Is your foot by the butt or by like the small of the?
Right at the sacrum.
Right.
Grab hold. There you go. Now just watch this the first time. I'm gonna take some weight out and give her a little tester, because I wanna see, if I went completely cold and did this, what's gonna happen to her shoulder? Yeah. Old rotator cuff injuries, not good. You're trying to get to the spine. I'm trying to get to a lift and a twist. Big in breath for me. I sit in my seat, sit in my seat, sit in my seat, sit in my seat. As she exhales. Hey. I don't know, is this massage or is it yoga?
And you cross into that gray area.
Uh-oh. Where all the yumminess lives. How's that? Pretty good? Was it comfortable on your shoulder blades, shoulder? Okay. Sometimes people will kind of hold their neck. You might tell them, hey, just relax your head, just let it.
I noticed I was doing it. I'm like, wait, no.
Yeah. And what I'm going to do is you guys can go through it.
Okay, will you do it one more time? Oh,
And
sorry.
I'm going to do it to the other side.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring her over. And again, spine, usually 90 degrees. Femur. I'm going to isolate here. Grab hold. And give her just a little tester. Do you see how it lengthens the rhomboids, pulls the shoulder blade forward? Big in breath for me. I sit in my seat, sit in my seat, sit in my seat. Oh, the shoulder feels better.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Okay, let me know this is this.
How's that?
Good.
Good.
It's my angry shoulder.
Angry shoulder.
Yeah.
She had a slight cavitation. The joint cavitated. Sometimes when you press on people's backs, a cavitation spontaneously occurs. Because we don't say, we adjusted your shoulder. Yeah, it'll put something else in the client's head.
Does that feel okay?
And when you lift, make sure not to lift with your back. You want to lift with your legs. You gotta sit back in your seat, sit back in your seat, sit back in your seat. And then you'll know, oh, then you stand up. Good strong quads.
Oh.
Ah.